So this podcast is all about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. We'll talk about Holy Wars and the new song TV Dinner, which I love. So,
Thank you.
so first off, tell me where you were born and raised.
Oh, wow. We're going that far back.
We're bringing it back to day one.
Okay. I was born in Bristol. I was raised Bristol, Connecticut. I think the only thing anybody knows about that town is ESPN. That's about it.
Oh, ESPN is located there?
Yeah,
See, I
that's
didn't
where
even know that. That's how much I know about ESPN.
headquarters.
Do a lot of people work at ESPN? Did mom or dad work at ESPN?
No, actually, funny enough, because I say it in TV Dinner, so it does come back to the song. My dad was an auto mechanic, and my mom worked as a professional tarot card reader in our small town.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I mean, she kind of fell into that. I mean, she always did it my whole life, but she got really popular through word of mouth that my living room literally became a waiting room. Like I remember being in school and coming home and there'd be like strangers in my living room waiting to see my mom. So it was
interesting.
It was quite an interesting childhood compared to, I'm sure, a lot of people.
So she was doing like she'd read the cards?
Yeah. I mean, she was,
wow.
I know that whole world has a very like negative, like Lady Cleo, like kind of scam artist thing. But my mom was actually very legit. She never even advertised. Like, she got so popular because she was so good, and she actually even did like Al Pacino, Calista Flockhart. Like, she did like real, notable celebrities at different points in her life. So yeah, pretty interesting. And I just always thought that was kind of a weird, fun fact about my parents. And since they've passed, I really like try to weave them into my music as much as possible, just to kind of make them legendary, so they never go away, that they're always still a part of my life in some capacity. So since that song was very much about the American dream and such, I was like, well, why don't I showcase my side of growing up in America and how my dad was an auto mechanic and, by night race car driver, and my mom was a tarot card reader. So that's some backstory for you.
Wow. And yeah, that was pretty recently when you lost them.
Yeah, I mean, well, now it's time. I mean, since the band, it's been like I've been tunnel vision, so it feels like it was just yesterday, but it was actually 2015. Wow. And then super unexpected, obviously. I mean, no one plans for that. I mean, my mom was sick, for 5 years, and she didn't have cancer. It's actually sarcoid and pulmonary hypertension. So blah, blah, blah. Not the fun stuff I'm sure anybody wants to hear, but that was more unexpected. Yeah, it's weird. It's like when I talk about it these days, I talk about it so like casually. I think more for the other person we're hearing it. I'm like, yeah, so anyways, but yeah, it's fucking terrible. But my dad was sudden. He passed of a heart attack, and then my mom passed about 6 months later. So even though they didn't pass in the same day, like like you would expect from a car crash or something, it was very close in timing. So totally changed my life.
I'm sure.
And from like Connecticut, that like that girl that I just told you about, like I don't know, kind of just.
Were you in Connecticut at the time, or had you moved to like LA or?
We're here, yeah. My whole family actually uprooted to California years ago. So I actually pretty much equal parts grew up my life here and there.
Okay.
My sister moved out here. My parents did. My uncles, cousins, everybody was already here because, more backstory, nobody asked for it. My dad's mother, my grandmother, left my grandfather and had a whole family out here. So I've actually been bi-coastal this whole time. I've always been in California, just like spending my summers here and back and forth. So.
No, but that's still that's a part of the story. And well, how did you get into music? And then how did that relate as far as jumping back and forth to both coasts?
Well, yeah, I think I realized like I couldn't do anything in Connecticut, and the chances were either New York, since it was right there, or California, and it just seemed like an easier fit for California for me because literally my family was already here, and my parents they wanted to move out here as well. My mom, her wish was always to live in California, and she years and years of trying to convince my dad, he finally gave in. So I was like, well, all right, I'm just going to go to California.
Sure.
But all my friends went to New York, obviously, because that's what you do. But I grew up in theater, actually.
Oh.
Which is funny because on TV dinner, everyone's like, oh, you're such a good actress. Have you ever tried doing that? I was like, well, I mean, I really have been in some capacity.
Yeah.
It's been years, obviously. But yeah, I grew up in theater. I started singing in 6th grade. Had a terrible time doing it. Like, I was never that kid that was like born like a gazelle. Like, I literally had to like go through some serious, embarrassing moments in my lifetime.
Really?
And
Like, what kept you going? I'm sure that that must have been crushing.
went fucking crazy, clearly. Anybody that wants to be in this business, like, you have to have a little level of insanity. But it's because like the
Sure.
amount of rejection, even like on the acting side or music,
Uh-huh.
like, to be able, it's like literally getting knocked down in a rest or like a boxing match, and you're like, get back up every time.
Right, right. So many no's, right?
One
That's what I
shot.
always hear.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
So
like if you don't have thick skin, it's gonna be a difficult ride for you.
seriously, I think, you know what? I think we're also experiencing that as just everybody, because social media as a whole, I feel like you have to have thick skin. So even if you're not an artist or
Hmm.
an actor, you definitely, you know, like even with cancel culture, like everything you say is being like so like with a mic like magnifying glass, and everyone's like,
Sure.
so I think everyone's kind of experiencing a little bit of
Yeah, you
it.
got to show your best self online. It's not like you're waking up posting the most horrible things that you've done or said to people and
You're like, I just killed somebody last night. I'm
all
just kidding.
right.
Um,
Here's a picture of it.
Yeah. Oh, you know, that's why I write the music and holy words that I write, just because like I feel this way all the time. Like I feel
Mhm.
like this like just keep swimming, you know, and that's
Mhm.
like my expression of like showing that like in some in a musical piece, showing what it feels like inside.
Right, right. Probably
But yeah,
therapeutic to kind of get it out, yeah, get it out of your head into the world.
yeah, I mean, music's always been that for me. I mean, I started writing poetry in 6th grade, and all my poems were sad or, you know, freaking prepubescent teenager. So I was like, everything with a bleeding heart. And then, believe it or not, I didn't do music for a very long time. So I was classically trained on the piano, tried singing, failed at it a few times, and then I started doing musical theater. And then I learned how to like sing, and I'll never go back to those days to listen to it because I'm sure they sound terrible. But at the time, I was like, oh, I'm good now.
You have recordings of this.
Oh, of course, yeah. My
Oh,
parents like had
amazing.
they like brought in their like, you know, they filmed me. And then,
Sure.
you know, but then yeah, we moved out here, and then just, you know, I ended up like living on getting an apartment. You know, I didn't do the whole like university college life. I literally moved to LA and like made that like my college life. And then I did go to like a community college just to get some higher education, but I didn't do the music school route. I literally found my way into it. I dated a guy that was a musician, and I remember having this envy of like, oh, I wish I could be in a band. Like, I wish I could just do that. You know, even though
Mhm.
I did musical theater, I just felt like that wasn't as cool as being in a band.
Right.
Um, and then a weird circumstance, I got on this VH1 reality show, which of course I was like, ugh, I would never want to be a part of reality shows. But this like kind of fell in my lap. It was like a game show with Alice Cooper and
Oh,
Sebastian Bach and Stryker from K Rock, actually.
oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, it was one of the and it was for this game called Rock Band to the Stars. And
Okay.
Rock Band, if you remember that Guitar Hero
Yeah,
spinoff,
yeah, sure.
I never played it. They found me in a bar like singing Creep because that's the only thing I could do is like sing on that. I think it was Creep and Maps were like my two songs. I was like, all right, here I
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Yeah. And they found me in a bar, and they were like, oh, we would love for you to be a part of the show. And I instantly was like, I don't think so. Like, I don't want to do like any Big Brother real world situation.
Right. Was it who, if you don't mind me asking, who was there? Was it Stryker or was it like some producer or?
No, it was actually a casting director. So
Oh,
if
okay.
you're like scouting bars that actually has like this bar, Leo's All Star, every Thursday night was their rock band.
Oh, like that was their night. Right. Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you know, like there's like karaoke night. Well, this was
All
the
right.
band because it was right when that was like really popular.
Mhm.
So they found me, and there was like hundreds of other people from like the local LA area. And I don't know, whoever I was dating at the time was like, oh, just show up. You know, who cares? Like, you don't have to do it. It's a 2-day weekend. You don't have to stay overnight. You get paid. And I was like, oh, that's true. I'm like, no one's ever going to see this. Whatever. So then I get through so many rounds, even though I don't play. And I was very vocal about it. I was like, yo, there's other people here that are way more deserving to be on this. Like, I don't know how to play any of the other instruments. I just sing, and I'm not even a perfect pitch singer, so I'll probably not even win. Because you remember you had to be like,
Oh, so you actually played. So the show is based on the game. Like you had to like,
was
yeah,
it
because they would have the meter, and like, how accurate was the meter is a real thing. You know what I mean?
well, that's the thing. You didn't even have to sound good. You just had to be like, cause I'm you know, you
Yeah,
like,
just watching it.
yeah, no vibrato, no like flair,
Right.
you know.
Right.
It was really not about how good can you sing. It was more just about like,
How well can you stay on the line?
yeah, how well are you there? Just sing like a robot.
Right.
Um, so I knew that. And I was like, I'm not good for this, but I don't know, something about it. And I got through, and I could tell some people were like, why did she make it? I was like, I know, I'm sorry. But now I realize, you know, as fate would have it, it brought me to where I'm at now in music, because eventually I got cut, because clearly I did not know what I was doing. And then
Did this show air? I do not even remember it.
it was called Rock Band 2, like the number 2.
Yeah.
Rock Band to the Stars.
Okay, I have to look this up.
I had long brown hair. I don't know why, but I remember wearing a red corset top.
Okay.
So that person. Um, so Alice Cooper, this is a long story. I'm doing my best to like make it short.
No, I love
Alice
it.
Cooper calls me over, or PA says Alice Cooper wants to talk to you, and I was like, what? And at that point, like, they never spoke to us. It was literally like, you film the show, and then we break, and we go to our little area, and they go to their fancy green room, that kind of a thing. This was the first time him and I spoke this whole 2 days of shooting. And he just asked me, he was like, hey, what's your story? Like, obviously you don't play this game, clearly, because the people I was with, they really played the game, and they were really serious about it. And I was kind of like, I don't really care. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They used to have like championships for that game. I remember in San Diego, I grew up in San Diego, and they'd be like, you know, you could win your way onto the like stage at the House of Blues to play like rock band. Like, I'm like, this is a bit much.
I
You're
mean,
really
that's
going
kind of
for
like the
it.
end of this thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what you're talking about, because the end was
It
like
toured.
you battle it out at like House of Blues or something. Like, it was
Okay.
that.
That's so funny.
Go down the rabbit hole. It's all there. But yeah, so Alice Cooper just said, like, are you in a band? What's your story? And I was like, oh, well, you know, I play a few songs, like breakup songs, like Fiona Apple on my piano, but that's it. So he just kind of was like, I don't recommend this business for anybody. He's like, but you're young and you're good. And, you know, I just see, like, you know, go for it. Like, if you want to
Wow.
go for it. Right. And I was just like, holy
Total
shit.
validation that you needed to do it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And at that time, I was like doing some acting gigs, but again, I like did, and I only did it just because I was like, oh, well, I came from musical theater, so the next best thing you do is get into film, which was not for me at all. But I was like, wow, fuck it. I've always wanted to do this. I always felt scared, and so I was like, okay, well, if I do this, like, what do I do? Like, where do I go?
Yeah, how do you start?
How
Right.
do I start? That's how green I was. And he was like, well, take it from me, get a gimmick. And around that time, Lady Gaga was like paparazzi Lady Gaga. And I was like, I don't want to wear like a Kermit the Frog dress. Like, it's not really my thing.
A meat suit.
They were a meat suit. Yeah, I was like, nah. I mean, I was really inspired by Fiona Apple, Regina Spektor. You know, I was Patti Smith, that kind of route. But he was like, call it an image, you know, find, what are you, be something. And then he said, and get a band. I was like, all right. And just, he's like, and then play, make a bunch of shit. Be
a rock star, you know, just snap your fingers, whatever.
And now looking back after all these years of doing it, I was like, I guess there really was no better advice than just fucking do it, you know? But he did call over Shep Gordon, who was his manager. And the story actually continues to go throughout my life. Because Shep Gordon gave me his like home address, and it was written as Hawaii on there. So I thought it was fake, and I was like, oh, this isn't real. But I was like, thank you, Mr. Gordon. When I have a CD, I'll send it to you. And all these years later, I lost that piece of paper. It was this small. And then it was like just a story I'd tell to friends that people were even like, did this even happen? I'm like,
Yeah. I
uh,
swear.
I swear this is the whole reason I'm doing music. But I did what Alice Cooper said. I started the band, and Nick, who's in Holy Wars with me, he auditioned to be in that band. We were in another band before this one,
Okay.
and yeah, I did everything, and I lost that paper, and in that band too, like we had some cool rides. We did like the things, and I was like, I wish I could tell Shep Gordon that I'm doing it.
Were you like just playing LA, or were you like, did you get to the like, professional level, so to speak? Like, did you guys
Yeah,
get
I mean,
signed and
we
or
didn't get signed, but I feel like that's where our trajectory was because we played Staples Center for the LA Kings. We did the South by
dang?
Southwest tours. Our music was all over Fox. Like we had so many crazy luck in that band
Uh-huh.
that I didn't even know. Like it took a while to get there, of course. So yeah, I don't think anybody, unless you have contacts, which we did not know anybody,
But
except for Alice
still.
Cooper, who like
Yeah.
didn't have that contact
Did
information.
did you stay in contact with him when you started that band, or was it kind of
No,
just
so
the end of it
he gave
there?
me his manager's stuff, which I always thought was weird. Till this day, I was like, why didn't he just give me? But I get it. But he was like, here's this, and Shep Gordon, like literally gave me his address in Hawaii. And again, at the time, I thought it was fake.
Right.
But then also that band happens, do some cool stuff, and 2015 is when my parents passed. So of course, and I was on tour, or I was about to go on tour right after my dad passed, and
Oh my gosh.
my mom was needing help. So and I had to do it because we had to commit to a couple of them. And one of them was like the Roxy, I think was our hometown show.
Wow.
So it was like I can't back out,
Right, right.
especially if I want like this band to continue on. And at that time, I did. I just knew like my life was just thrown around now, completely torn apart.
Mhm.
So I do that. I do it, come back, and then Nick and I decide we're like we have to stop this band. Like I can't think about. I mean, life literally just tore a tornado through me.
Right.
Um, so we stopped the band. We tell our team at the time like we're kind of done indefinitely. Maybe we'll come back. I don't really know. And everybody was just like, yeah, totally
We
fine.
get it. Right.
Do what you got to do. I mean, I was even like on that verge of like, do I want to be alive anymore? And
Right.
then as I was cleaning out my parents' filing cabinet, as I'm sure everyone's parents save everything.
Yep.
It's like the gum of when I was 13 and a rapper, like the weird
Right, right.
stuff they save.
Your first piece of chewing gum.
Exactly. Like my first haircut, my first chewing gum.
I have a 5-year-old. I do all the same weird stuff, so I get it.
Yeah, it's a first. You never get that
Yeah.
first back. But yeah, so they I don't know if I gave it to them and I just don't remember. But my mom had that little piece of paper with Shep Gordon's information on it, and I
Wow.
was bawling. I was just like, "Oh my god, like it's here!" And at that time, Holy Wars didn't exist, and I just was like, and Nick was like, "Give me that paper," and he's like, "Laminate it." Like,
I was just gonna say, did he laminate it? I would have.
just like don't lose it because for years I was like I have it, I know it's I lost it, I don't know how. Well, my mom had it this whole time. She probably didn't even know what she had, but she had it. And because I was
Wow.
very diligent about going through everything of theirs, I saw that. Otherwise I never would have found it. So years later we start Holy Wars, and I still think this whole thing is fake. And his address, and we're watching Supermensch. I don't know if you saw it, but it's on Netflix.
Uh, it doesn't ring a bell off the top of my head. Maybe if I saw I'm really bad with names, but I'm sure if I saw the cover, the cover art, I would be like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just Shep's face on it. But Mike Myers produced it, and you learn about his life that I didn't even know, that he's the reason the Food Network channel exists, and he's just like one badass dude. Um, and it takes place in his house in Hawaii, and that was literally the address.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my God, he literally gave me his real address. Like a young, like little like girl that could probably stalk him. He gave me his address. Um, so we start the band. We do the first year, which was an incredible ride for Holy Wars. And then when we watch around like the end of that year, we already had our first EP out. That's when we saw Supermensch. And Nick was like, you have to send them something. Like expect nothing, but just complete this, have closure on this. And
Mhm.
I did. I wrote him a long, like, handwritten letter because I was like, I'm not going to get this guy an email. Like, I'm going to like write him a letter. I'm going to mail it to this address. I'm going to take a photo of me holding this little piece of paper. So he saw, like, this is his handwriting. I did not just find this on the web. And then so I do that. I tell him the story. I said, I met you. Alice told me to become a musician. I literally did everything he said. And since then I've done X, Y, Z. And I was like, I want nothing from you. I had managers. So I was like, I have a team. I really just want to buy you beer or just say hi or thank you. I don't know. I was like, I just need closure on this journey of why I'm doing everything I'm doing.
Sure.
And I left my email, I left my number, and I just said, if you're ever in LA, if you want to have a drink on me, let's do it. He texts me like 3 weeks later, and he just was like, I got your beautiful letter. Thank you so much. And what a wonderful story. And keep doing what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I still have that phone number, but that is the end of that story.
Wow.
That's why Holy Wars exists. That's why everything exists.
That's so amazing. That's
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, to finding I mean, everything about that's
Yeah.
so amazing. That is so amazing. And now you have some new music out as well for Holy Wars.
Yes.
Well, you talked about putting out that first EP, and then so that record was out before. Like, tell me where the timeline where that record came out and the conversation you had with him and sending the note.
Well, yeah, that came out. So I didn't think of sending anything to Shep Gordon then because I still kind of thought like this is fake, being a Hawaii address. It wasn't until I saw Superman, so I was like, oh, it was real. And then
Got it. Okay.
He's like, you send this out now. Just close the chapter.
Close the chapter door. Yeah. Got you. Okay.
So then and I did, and that's great. Maybe we'll see each other again. I've actually spoken to him one other time since then, just very brief. But I have not met with him yet to have that drink, and then COVID happened. So,
yeah. So tell me that. So where were you guys at when COVID happened? And you have some new songs out. I mean, we talked about TV Dinner, but you've released a few other songs. Well, you had other tracks that you released in 2020, like when this is all happening.
Yeah.
So where were you when the world shut down?
Our last show actually was at NAMM. We did.
Oh, okay.
For New Year's Day and Black Label Society for the Schecter after party. It was like huge, gorgeous, like Anaheim Grove. Fucking, I don't know if you've been there, but the place is incredible. That was actually our last show.
Oh, wow.
We were set to like tour. Like we were like getting ready to like, this was like our 2020 was like, okay, we're gonna leave LA because we were like hometown heroes for a minute, and we were like the opening band for Papa Roach and Rain Wolf, and we were like that, and we were building our fan base here. But yeah, to take it to the origin of Holy Wars, I wrote a bunch of music after my parents passed. Not right away, obviously, but like through grief and healing, I kind of like what we were saying earlier about like dumping how you feel into music. Mm-hmm. That's literally what I did. And there was never any plan of it being in a band. Like it was just my survival. And Nick and I, we always just wrote music together. I mean, that was like our bond. And for us to not be doing that was very weird for us. So he was craving, I think, to write some music again. And he was helping me through the process of even wanting to do that again. Because at that point I was like, I'm done with music. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the business. Like it's never enough. You get one great thing and then you're like, you're forgotten about it and it's on to the next, So I was like really weighing like my mental health and if I needed to go back to that. So I wrote this music while I was finding my journey back to music, while I was dealing with the death of my parents and kind of, for the sake of being dramatic, the death of myself, because I didn't feel like myself anymore. And I knew like, okay, I feel different. Like I'm not the same person I was. So I wrote this music and it got around to a circle of friends that we may be doing a band. We didn't know, didn't even have a name. And a friend of mine hit me up and was like, hey, I'm about to headline the Echoplex. I heard you might be doing music again. If you're down, this could be your debut show. What do you think? And she's like open for me. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't touched music. I haven't played a live show. And like, at this point it was like over 2 years or like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh God, this is scary. But because it was terrifying, we did it. We're like, fuck it. Like, I literally left my parents. Like, what the fuck is scary now? I'm just going to do it. We came up with a name for it. We're like, we got to call ourselves something. And I named it Holy Wars. Nothing to do with Megadeth, though. The fans of Megadeth are mad about that. So we do it. And that first show, like, we had a couple trail over from our old band, but like, it was a brand new audience for us. Uh-huh. And they went nuts. Like, I don't know. They were so loving. And that night really defined, like, okay, we're coming back. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And it was just a great welcoming. And that first year was like, it was just like, you know, we got signed to a great management company, like, right away. It was like this whole trajectory. And Mother Father came out while we were signed, and we were just like, oh, I didn't know what to write after that. I was pretty paralyzed, because what could you say after an album literally dedicated to your parents that has any value to you? I mean, I couldn't write a going out on a Friday night song literally following Mother Father.
Right.
So I got kind of paralyzed, and Nick started touring a bunch, opening for A Perfect Circle. Like, he was doing a lot of great touring stuff. So we were both like still together, but like going through our own, like, what do we do with this? Mm-hmm. And that's why you'll see the trajectory after that. We only released a single or two, like, very little. And we started writing a lot more for film and TV. Mm-hmm. And that side of our career started picking up quite a bit, but we still had Holy Wars, and we were still getting great stuff. Billboard was giving us a lot of attention. So we were like, okay, well, this needs to be something. But I was personally not really knowing what I could say anymore that meant anything to me. And this was not a project that I just like throw it away. Like, everything I sing in this band is very like guttural and, you know, my heart. So, and the fans that we attract expect that from us. So I felt like if I didn't give them something that was very exploring or societal, whatever, I think they would have been like, what's going on here? Like, this is not real.
Do you feel like writing for TV and film made it so you could just kind of focus on like one specific topic? Was it like, you're going to write a song for this X commercial or this, then you didn't have to really internalize and put out, like you said, something to follow Mother Father?
Right. Yeah. I really think that writing for sync or TV film was what made me a better writer for Holy Wars, even though like the sounds were different, because in that world I've written trailer music to like a fun commercial song like that you would put like an Apple ad, you know, like so it was all over the place. But I really found I was able to explore without this weight and the heaviness of my parents and the heaviness of being in a band. I feel like most people in a band, once they like start to like get a little bit of a fan base, then they feel like they have like an identity crisis, because then you can only be whatever it is, whether you're active rock or you're pop or, you know, like, I mean, I think that the lanes are changing now and people are getting more genre bending with their music. But there was a point where it was like, are you rock or are you this? Like, you can't be many things. And I love to be many things. Our favorite bands, like Radiohead, is many
things. Many people have many interests nowadays. Like, that's why if you look at the you know, festival lineups, it's not like Coachella used to be like only hip bands and like it was like Radiohead headlining, and now it's like, you know, friggin' whoever, Lizzo, or, you know, whatever the big artist that there's a Beyonce. It's like you would never seen that in the first 10 years of that festival happening.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, I like all kinds of music. I bet you do too.
Yeah, so it's okay to like, I got a Halsey poster back there because I love Halsey. And then I'm wearing a Public Enemy t-shirt. So who, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I think now it's a good time for artists because they can explore a little bit more. I mean, when we were like in our old band, it was very like, well, what are you? Now in Holy Wars, it's like we were even talking to our booking agent, and he's like, I love that you guys expand across like the alt rock, but you're also heavy. Like, he's like, he was saying your catalog can be geared towards whoever I get you on tour with. And if I put you with a Chelsea Wolfe, I know you have catalog there that's a darker leaning that you can just focus on that catalog for the 30 minutes on that opening slot.
Sure.
And if I put you with I don't know, you said Halsey, so like Machine Gun Kelly.
Right.
I know you can play more of your alt leaning music, which is some of our music coming out this year. So I think it's great for artists to be expansive like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I don't tell, but that's my theory.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to get, so you put out, you said you put out a couple singles in between, like in 2019, and then you played this big show in NAMM, and then the world crashes down, and you have material, obviously, because you put out I Hate Myself, you put out Welcome to My Hell and Little Gods, and like different records between now and then. And are those going to be on a record coming out, or was those just singles and you're focusing on a new body of work with TV Dinner?
Well, yes and no. So I Hate
Okay.
Myself, all that music was written prior to the world
Shut down.
Yeah. And I Hate Myself, I just wanted to get out there. It was a fan favorite that we would play live, and then fans would always be like, when is the song coming out? When's the song coming out?
Got
it. So I just had to like get it out, like just get it out.
Yeah.
You know, whether the timing of it was right or not, I don't know, but we just had to get it out. Then we got this incredible opportunity to be the opening theme song on WWE's Hell in a Cell for Welcome to My Hell.
Oh yeah, okay. I did see that. I saw a little trailer for that, I think, on your website.
Yeah, which was super rad. They just randomly hit us up. I mean, we do have somebody who represents our music for publishing, but I believe they found us from us. Like they probably either just typed in hell and they looked at everything that came up.
Every hell that came up.
Yeah, but they did confirm that they found us on Spotify, which is cool, which is a point to have your music on there, you know. But that opened up obviously a whole new door of fans, and we re-released that song because that song was already out for a year. So we were like, let's re-release this because it's new to all these fans. And while we do that, we can follow up with this other song, Little Gods, which we didn't know was going to change things for us in a positive way. We had that song written in 2019, like the end of 2019. We performed it for the first time at that NAMM show.
Okay.
To gauge the audience, like, is it like, well, how do they feel? And people went nuts, and that was a whole audience. Nobody knew us, so like playing for an audience that does not know you, I'm sure you can imagine, is tough.
Yeah, tough to win people over, especially they're like, okay, when's the headliner coming out? Or you're always in that world.
Exactly, especially and I do believe it's certain kind of fans too. Like some artist fans are very open, but then there's some artist fans like we've never opened for Metallica, but I imagine like the Metallica fans are probably like, get it, like we want like they're just very.
I forgot. I interviewed somebody. I can't remember who it was, but their band's successful now, but I can't remember. But they were like on tour opening up for Ozzy, and like they had to go out every night. Oh, no, Kiss. They're opening up for Kiss, and every night they had to go out and just get stuff like pelted at them, like get off the stage. They just want. They just had to be the person that they got shit thrown at for half an hour.
That's insane. I wonder if that even still happens today, but
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember the band, but it was a pretty interesting story.
Oh my God, if that, God forbid, I would probably just jump it. I don't know. I'm short, so maybe I'd jump in the audience and get tumbled over, but I would not be nice. I'd be like, fuck yeah. But yeah, so we released Little Gods, and Allison Hagendorf, who runs the Spotify rock playlist.
Huge tastemaker, obviously.
Lovely human, oh my God. And she's always been very supportive of us up to date, but I can tell when Little Gods happened, she was like, oh, wait. Like, and she messaged me personally and was like, is this a sound for you guys? Like, what's happening here? What's going on? Like, what is this? I love this for you. I love this sound for you guys. Without like telling us what to do, she was just like curious. And I said, right. Oh. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to move away from like the mid-tempo belted singing, bleeding my heart out. And I really wanted to get into this, like, just this anger banger thing where I'm just like, saying everything. that literally exists in my head, you know, and I just
Uh-huh.
want to say it. So that really did dictate TV dinner for us, because when I saw that reaction from her, I was like, well, this is already aligned with what we were planning on doing anyway. But now to have somebody like her really respond to this, and she got us on her Rock This show when she interviewed Bring Me the Horizon. So she
Wow.
paired us with like incredible artists that we just admire greatly. So we were like, okay, let's just keep going. And we wrote our whole album based off of that. So Little Gods will be on our album, but I do feel Welcome to My Hell and I Hate Myself is more like let them exist in their own world of being
Sure.
single. So
They were, yeah, they were their own
long.
space. They did their
Yeah.
own thing, and now you have TV dinner out.
So now TV dinner comes, and that was inspired by, well, I actually wrote the first line driving in my car, and I wrote it up to that TV dinner, like, while your daddy's watching naked girlies eating TV dinners.
Mm-hmm.
And I sang it into my phone through my friend, with my friend who directed the music video with me. And I was like, oh, what do you think? I always just like, I don't know. We always just
Right
like
by
run
'em.
ideas
Yeah.
back and forth. Just she's such like a strong person in my life as a friend. So I don't know, maybe it was her reaction, and I also loved it too. She was like, "Oh, I love it." She's like, "I feel like you're like touching on like misogyny and the American family." And I was just like, "Yeah, exactly." So I wrote the rest of the song with Nick off of that. He gravitated to it really quickly, and then he found a Swanson TV dinner commercial because I was considering calling the song TV dinner.
Uh-huh.
And that Swanson commercial, I'll send it to you after this. It was, we literally parodied, we made a parody of our beginning of our TV dinner music video off of that commercial. And we like,
Oh, how
yeah.
funny. That's amazing.
But some people are like, oh, were you guys inspired by WandaVision? I was like, I didn't even know WandaVision was out. I literally just saw it for the first time like 2 weeks ago
Oh,
because of
okay.
the fan being like, oh, it's so WandaVision. I love it. And of course, the first two episodes, I was like, yeah, it is kind of very similar.
Right, right.
I was like, it is, but that's to break everyone's hearts. Not that anybody cares. I was like, no, it's actually a Swanson TV dinner commercial. So I am going to do a video probably this week where I side by side it, just so people can see like this is literally what it is.
That's cool. Yeah, you should be
Yeah.
like, see, we didn't, this is nothing to do with WandaVision. This is where we took it from. And I
Mhm.
love that. But I really want you to send me that because I'm super curious.
I will. Hey, is there a chat? I could probably do it right now in the chat actually while we're talking. But that's the story.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
do you have is a record done or are you still
We're still
working on it?
building it. I mean, we
Okay.
have enough to release a mini album, but Nick and I are like, we're never satisfied. We're always just like, keep going. So we have about, I think, 8 or 9 tracks now. We have a new song we just wrote the other day that we want to get recorded pretty soon. And then we have a few, we want to do some features too, because that's actually new for us. We've never done like a feature with a grandson or something like that.
Sure.
And so
Lovely human being. I interviewed
yeah,
him and yeah, he's
Jordan's
amazing.
awesome. And also I feel like, speaking of grandson, I'm like, man, maybe I should hit him up because I feel like TV dinner, and we have another song called 1% Milk, and then another song Battery Life. All the titles are very like cheeky,
Awesome. Yeah.
but like when you like listen to the message, it's very like societal. 1% Milk. I'm sure you can imagine what that one's about.
Sure.
State of our fucking inequality of what people get paid, and the 1%ers, and milk being the white 1% white. So yeah, I'm like, this is actually very aligned with Jordan's message and his music as well. So who knows? Maybe.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Let's make it happen. But
Let's.
yeah, so I'm trying to find this now. YouTube. You know what? Just give me your email. I'll do it after. I don't
All
want to
right.
take up your
I just followed you on Instagram. You can.
Okay, I'll link it there.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And like, obviously, the state of the world might be opening up soon enough, and you'll be able to play some shows, which is pretty
Yeah.
exciting, I'm sure, for you.
It is. I'm most excited about playing this new music. I think because we just had a taste of it when we played Little Gods for that NAMM show,
Mm-hmm.
and the response was great. Plus, we just had a great time playing it. Like us in the band, we were just like rocking out. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's a little scary though because I don't know what it looks like now in the live music world, like the Wild Wild West out there. I don't know what it looks
Right.
like. Get shows, and So we are going to focus on maybe like playing outside of LA for a while. And then when the album comes out, we're planning on maybe doing like a full hometown show, whatever that may look like. Because who knows what the world's going to be like at that point, but that's our plan.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kat, for hanging out with me and doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And I have one more question before I let you go.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Oh, well, I can't say this is great for everybody, but for me, I would say do a bunch of things. Don't just focus on one project if you can. I've done that. And when I focused only on one band, I think the opportunities might have been a little bit less, but also it took up so much of my mental like health where I was like, this has got to be the thing for me. And once I started writing with other producers and writing for Sync, and I really started to see so many different doors opening up that like at the same time, they all feed each other. So while I'm working, like for instance, while I'm working with a song for a Sync project that inspires something for Holy Wars, and then it just all lifts each other up. So I would say write a lot of music, do co-writes. I mean, this is my younger self would be like cursing my name right now, be like, don't do co-writes, write yourself. But do co-writes, just learn, and just, yeah, don't think like it has to be your like this one band that's going to make or break your life. I feel like people really like a lot of stuff. And if you're doing 2 projects or you're doing Sync, I say start writing for Sync if you can. And then also do a bunch of shit. Just don't just focus on one thing. I hope that makes sense.
Totally made sense.
Okay.
Meet Alice Cooper.
And meet Alice Cooper.
Bringing it back.